into grad school, let me see what stage everybody's in. How many people in here are juniors? Seniors? Already in grad school? All right, so I just got a couple people in grad school. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about, it'll fit you too, so don't worry about it unless you already finished. So you don't have to worry about that. But I'm going to talk about how to really sort of make the transition to graduate school and the difference between it and sort of what you have to do to be successful. And I got to speed up a little bit because I lost some time and didn't realize I'd done that. All right, let's skip that first one. Let's skip that. Okay, so the foundation for being successful as a graduate student. The foundation for being successful is what we want to start off talking about. Let me tell you a little bit about myself then, because I guess you want to know who's talking. How did I get to do this? I mean, who is this guy talking about graduate education? We need to know something about it. You got my bio. But I have been dealing with graduate education for almost 30 years. So I've been doing it a long time. And have been talking primarily to expand the number of students who actually go to graduate school. That's number one. We don't have enough people in the United States going to grad school. So I want to try to get more people to go. That's number one. Number two, it takes too long to get finished. Shouldn't take no 7 years to get a PhD. So don't even go thinking that. If you're past 5 years, you took too long. You just didn't do it right. So we want to talk about how to do it and how to speed it up. Shouldn't take that long. If you are gifted, you ought to be able to do a PhD in less than 5 years and be gone. And so you're wasting too much time. You didn't do something right. If you go and already have a master's degree, you ought to be able to finish the PhD in 3 years. Be gone. I don't care what it's in. You ought to be gone. So, but you all are not making it full time. You're trying to treat it like undergraduates, where you go take a class, then you go to the cab, you go to the rec center, you do something crazy. Graduate students who have no business doing that. Have no business doing that at all. It's full time, and you have to give it full time. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about what you have to bring to the process. You have to see yourself differently. You have to do it differently. Oh, and by the way, I do have one. I have a PhD, all right? And I finished in a hurry. I did my coursework in 15 months. It was gone. So you can get this done. I have a friend who was smarter than I am. He has a PhD from the University of Michigan in physics, did his coursework in 8 months. We were classmates together, undergrad. He finished his coursework in 8 months. Finished. He got his PhD in 2 years from the University of Michigan. Gone. Doesn't take that long. You all taking too long. Taking far too long. But we didn't. I went to my lab the same time every day. Every day. 7 days a what? Week. And guess what you all tell me? You're gonna get stressed out. I'm gonna be stressed out if I stay one extra day. If it takes me one extra day to get this PhD, I will be stressed what? Out. I'm trying to get out of here. I needed to leave yesterday. So you want to get out of there. Now, first of all, just accountability. Graduate work, we call it graduate study. It's not graduate study. It's graduate what? Work. So I want you to practice saying that. It's graduate what? Work. Right? So just getting started. Well, before I put that up, let's roll back because I got too many people who are not. Don't start on that. Let me take that back. One thing. Making the train. Let's start with that. First of all, just how do I go to graduate school? How do I go? How do I get in? How do I find out where I'm going to go? Let's talk about that a minute because I didn't know what kind of students I was going to have. First of all, when you talk about should I go, the answer is yes. So let's make a case for it. The advanced degree in engineering is real important. It'll add a tremendous amount of stuff to you. Even if you just went and got a master's degree, you'd be far better off. Far better off. A master's degree in engineering is worth about $10,000 difference in your salary per year, just starting with. And that's in everything. Even if you got it in tiddlywink, it'll be worth $10,000. If you get it in the right stuff, it's worth more than that. And over your lifetime, it's worth about $250,000 difference in your salary. That's worth going to school for. You can feel that in your check. Okay? A PhD is worth $1 million. You want to be a millionaire? Go get a PhD. Now, you won't have $1 million, but the difference in your salary over your lifetime would be worth just about $1 million. you will actually double your salary in almost everything you use it in. Now that doesn't, and don't, when you hear that, you know somebody that didn't happen for. We're not talking about them. We're not talking about those folks. But for most people, it does that. I have one, and the difference in my salary and the people who went to school with me is that much. It's $1 million different. My wife taught high school with a PhD. She has a PhD in molecular biology and genetics, and she wanted to be a high school teacher to prove that high school students could do good science. She had a shaking water bath in her lab, PCR machine, all that kind of stuff, and she had students with lab jackets on, and they did real science. And they all passed the AP exams, and she didn't have to screen anybody. They all passed. And today she's got doctors who didn't never know they could do that. So that's what we're talking about. Her salary was about $35,000 different per year than the average bachelor's salary with a PhD. And she didn't work but 9 months. She worked, everybody else was working 12 months. She worked 9. So it's worth it. It doesn't make any difference. My daughter has a PhD. She passed me a long time ago with salary. She's already passed me. I'm serious. She's already passed me. She's got a PhD in engineering. She's already passed me. And she's still got a long time to work. So it's worth going to school for. How do you decide where to go? Well, first of all, I don't know whether you all know it or not, graduate education is free in this country if you have grades. It doesn't cost anything. Did all of you know that? Graduate education in this country is free. It doesn't cost, people don't pay to go. So if you find somebody who paid, they just either didn't know what they were doing or they didn't have any grades. Nobody pays. Now, I don't mean if you have a whole lot of bills and, the stipend might not pay for it. I mean, in other words, if somebody might have had to borrow some money simply because they were in debt deeply. But I mean, just an ordinary student like you all going, the going rate is tuition and fees is about $15,000 a year, $15,000 a month. How much is your stipend in a month? So she said it, she was embarrassed. She said, $2,000. Her allowance is $2,000 a month. And your tuition and fees? She don't have to pay it, so she don't know. So it's free, right? Doesn't cost nothing. So it doesn't cost, in this country, it doesn't cost anything. So you should go because it's what? It's free. I ought to go. So that's the second thing. How do I decide where to go? At the graduate level, you can actually find out, programs are rated at the graduate level, so you can find out who the best programs are. You can actually find out who's the best biomedical engineering program is in this, not just biomedical engineering, but in this particular area, who the #1 school is. So you might want to decide to go to some, you might want to pick where you want to go based on the quality of the program, all right, and where they're paying. Now, when I went where they were going to pay. I went where I was going to get admitted and where they were going to what? Pay. Not going to pay, I'm not coming. I told people that before, even before you, and no need of even talking to me. If you don't have no money, I'm not what? Coming. So don't even talk to me about no loan or none of that stuff. So I went free. My wife, when she got ready to go, I went to Syracuse. My wife went to the University of Florida, and my daughter went to Texas A&M. So all of us went to different schools, and none of us had to pay. So it's free, okay? Now, let's get back to where we are then. So the first thing that you need to know then, once you get there, that is graduate work. And you have to guide yourself. You're self-directed. You're self-directed. You can, after you do what we call the core courses, you can even pick the classes you're going to take. I mean, there'll be some requirements, but you basically have a wide choice of the kind of classes you're going to take. You can pick your dissertation area, the research lab you want to be in. I mean, there are a lot of things about it that you can pick. So it's a little bit different from undergrad, okay? The quality of your work is observed, and so that's how performance is measured. So you are judged different. It's not all about grades. It's not all about grades. Grades are important. It's expected that you're going to do well in graduate school. That's why only B's count. You can't get a grade below B in grad school. They don't count. So you have to make at least a B. And because you're going to be afraid that you're going to get a C, you have to work for all what? A's. So for the first time in your life, you should go in every class thinking, I'm going to make a what? Because you can't take a chance on making a B. So you're going to find out that you are a pure A student for the first time. I mean, even though you've been an A student before, you might not have known that you were a pure A student. I mean, it's sort of shocking. I know it's shocking to me. I didn't know I was that good. I really didn't until I got to grad school and started making all what? A's. That's scary. So that's another reason to go. For the first time, you're going to validate that you're real good, and you're going to know that you're good. You need to be accountable to the faculty. You need to be accountable to your department. You have to be very visible in your department as a graduate student. You can just go take some classes in your department as an undergrad and not worry about it a lot. But you have to be really known in your department. And the reason for that is because the faculty is going to judge you. And all of them can judge you. Even if they didn't teach you a class, they can come to your defense. You understand what I'm saying? So they can come and vote on you. So you have to be accountable. You have to be visible in your department. You have to actually belong to your department. That's a little bit different from undergrad. So I want to make sure that everybody hears me say that. Make sure that you understand that and that you do that, all right? You have to take initiative and do that. You have to build alliances with an advisor. Your advisor is your keeper, is your protector, is your dissertation advisor. They are going to be responsible for herding you through. A little bit different. And let me tell you what it means when you got a good one. If you have a good one, they're supposed to push you out. They ought to push you out. They ought to help you get out, what is what I mean. They ought to help you get out. They ought to look out for you. They will give you some ins and outs. They will tell you little politic things that you need to be aware of, protocol things that you need to observe that you might not know about. I'll give you a couple of instances. Number one, you have to pick what we call a dissertation committee, a group of people to be on your committee. Well, your advisor will advise you as to who some of the better people are to put on your committee who work well together. You don't want people on your committee who don't work well together. And you might not know that. There might be some faculty members that really don't like each other, but there would be no reason for you to know that. But your advisor would know it. And so they would do that for you. So that's another thing that you would look for. If somebody gave you a hard time, sit on this side so I can see you. I can't see you over there. You're a fine person and we like you, but I can't see you. All right? We love you. And the lady sitting way in the back, I figured if you sat that far back, you didn't want me to see you no way. So I didn't bother you. How is that? I can't see you way back there. I love you though, but I can't see you. All right. So there you go. See? I didn't even tell her, I didn't have to tell her nothing bad. She just moved. I told her I couldn't see her. I told her I loved her though, but she moved herself. Honor your responsibilities for your RATA, your fellowship. When you tell somebody you're going to work 20 hours, work how many hours? 20. You don't have to work no more than that, but you have to work what? And you can make no excuses about that. You got me? It might require you to do certain things. If it does, make sure you do that. Like somebody might have paid for you to come to this conference, and there were some requirements to it. Make sure you honor that. Make sure you honor those requirements. Seriousness. A serious student. Put some distance between you and the rest of the people. You become the model student. You become the model what? Student. And I don't mean you have to be a genius to do it. You just become the model student. Put your time in the lab. Put your time in. Go to things in your department. Even though it's not something that you particularly want to do. Sometimes a speaker will come and you say, oh God, I don't want to hear him, but it's in your department. You need to go to some of those, even though, under normal conditions I wouldn't go. But my department is sponsoring. I need to be there. So make sure you're accountable to that. You're going to bring certain attributes and certain skills, and all of us don't have the same thing. We're more gifted in some things than others. But bring those things to the process. What you have, what gives you an advantage, make sure you bring that to the process. Bring that. I'm a talker. I can talk. In fact, I laugh. I have a PhD in talking, so I can talk. That's an advantage. So I have to take advantage of that. I have to use that to my advantage. Somebody who writes well has to take it, you know what I'm trying to say? So you bring certain skills to the process. Make sure you do that. And then show appreciation for your mentor's time. Show appreciation. I was listening today. I went to the networking workshop, and there was a lot of emphasis on that. Make sure you thank people when they do you a favor. You know, I write people a note back. I get paid to go on campus to do a presentation, and somebody invited me. I'll make sure I write them a note back to say thank you for facilitating that. Thank you for that. And I have thanked my host here several times, although I think I have paid my way, but I have thanked them several times for inviting me to come to participate. So you make sure you do that, okay? Now let's get to the meat of some of the things that we need to do. I already talked about this. Visibility in the department, willing to work hard, the program values. Some labs are different from other labs. The protocol for the lab might be different. And you have to get in sync with that protocol. You know how if I had my brothers, I wish I'd have been in his lab, but you're not. You're in my lab. You got what I'm trying to say? So you have to join up with the lab group that you're in if you're going to stay, if you're going to benefit from being in there. So do that. Research and that workable relationship. You have to get along with me. If I'm your major professor, you have to get along with who? With me. You have to get along with me. My vote counts how much, my friend? She's not. How much? Tell him again. 100%. My vote counts 100%. So if you're in my lab, my vote counts how much? 100%. So you need to do it my way. Now, can you bring your own ideas to the process? The answer is yes. And we expect you to do that. But my vote still counts what? 100%. So you have to observe that. Now, from here on out, everything you do, I want you to remember that word up there. Get the pulse of your surroundings. Make sure you know where you are and what's going on there. And how do I fit? Critical that you hear me say that. Get the pulse of the place. What's it like? What's the mission? What's the goal? How is it structured? Who's in charge? Who's got keys? Who do I have to make feel good? That's got information that I need. Get something real simplistic. I did a sabbatical at Georgia Tech. I spent a year at Georgia Tech in the College of Engineering. And while I was there, we redid the building where the dean's office is at Georgia Tech. And I didn't know we were moving. And I had an office in that building. And so we were going to move into a smaller space. If I hadn't have had my understood things, by the time I figured it out, all the space was been gone. But it just so happened that I got there early in the morning, and there was a lady who was the maid who swept on our floor almost the same time every morning. Her name was Miss Johnson. And so most people, you know, you don't treat the maids nice. But we don't know. Maids know everything because they hear everything. Hear me say that. The maid hears what? They might act like they don't hear it, but they hear what? Everything. So she's just sweeping. And so every morning I'd come in, I said, good morning, Miss Johnson. She said, good morning, son. She called me son. I got a PhD. She called me son. Good morning, son. Good morning, Miss Johnson. Good morning. She said, good morning. So I come in, and I see her. I said, good morning, Miss Johnson. She said, good morning. She said, you know you're moving, don't you? I said, no, ma'am. She said, you better get you some space. I would not have known that we were moving, and I needed to worry about my what? Space. So I went immediately to see about it. When I told the dean, he said, oh, yeah, I forgot about you. He had forgot about me. We didn't have enough space to worry about what? Me. That's what he said, but he didn't say that. He forgot about me. But when I reminded him, he had to remember about what? Me. I got space too. The reason I knew about it was Miss what? Johnson, who said, good morning, son. So understanding the structure of the place, the protocol, the values, all of those things are important. Degree requirements. Don't be surprised about what you have to do to get this master's degree, to get this PH what? D. I see my friend sitting there smiling. People are surprised. They don't know what it takes to get it. And so it sneaks up on them. And all of a sudden they've gone through part of their work and they've missed some step back here where they're going to lose some time. And if you had known exactly what you had to do, you could have put it in a plan and could have been right on schedule all this time. So make sure you know what the requirements are. What is the requirements? How many hours is in what we call the core course? How many electives do I have? How many of those do I have a choice on? If I want to do a dual something, I want to get a minor in something, how do I do that? So you want to be able to look at that. Communication jargon. Are there little kind of words that they use that seem like everybody's throwing around and I don't quite know what they're talking about? You better figure out what that is. Performance evaluation. One of the most amazing things that happened to me when I was working on this PhD was at Syracuse, doctoral defenses are scheduled for 2 hours. They're 2 hours long. They very seldom last that long. But they almost always go an hour and a half to an hour and 15, hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes. Almost always. All right? Now, if you could find that out. You should know that. Guess what people would do? People would go get ready for their defense and come in to make their presentation and talk for 20 minutes on their research, which means you have left an hour for questions and answers. You don't have that many answers in you. So everybody, I'm trying to ask myself, why didn't they talk longer? I mean, you just finished 2 years worth of research. There's no way for you to explain that in 20 minutes. So I decided in my own head, now when I get up there, I'm going to talk and what? And talk and what? And talk. And when I get finished, there will be no time left for what? Questions. None whatsoever. I'm going to use up all of the what? The standard of evaluating. They asked a whole lot of questions. That's the standard. Okay? So when I go in to defend, I had on my best suit. This was before all this modern equipment. I had my overhead projector, because we didn't have all this stuff y'all got today. And I got up, and what did I do? I talked, and I talked, and I what? Talked. And finally my advisor said, just bring it to a close, Adams. I said, I got some more. He said, I know you have. We done heard enough. We heard enough. They wanted to get out of there. We don't need to hear no more about this. So when I finished, and all the faculty was sitting around the table, he said, any question? Do you know he went all the way around the table, and I didn't get a single question. Not a single one. So he laughed. He said, we got to ask him something. We got to ask him something. So he asked me a question. And so then, I had to answer a few things. And finally he said, that's enough. Go out in the hall, Adam. It was over. But I have seen people, because I've been in there. I've seen people in there and they get chewed up because they get a whole lot more questions than they can answer. And so I'm telling you now, understand that. So what's the time frame? And what makes some reasonable sense? But surely I can't give them no hour worth of questions. So you've got to talk longer than that. And then the last one, who are the key people? Who are the key people that I ought to make sure on my team? Is there a senior professor that seems to give everybody a fit? And do I know him or her in the department, in my group? Because some groups are big. You know how I didn't take no course for him, so I don't like him no way. Doesn't have anything to do with anything. You need to make sure that you get to know the faculty relatively well, but you need to know who the players are. Who is it that I need to make sure is on the team? Okay? Any question about that part of it? Because I'd rather ask the questions as I go along. Anything about that slide? Because this is an important slide. That's a real important slide about going to grad school. Anything real quick? You're looking at me real strange. Like, no. Nothing, right? No, I ain't going to ask nothing. I can see it in your eyes. Now, we talk about goals, and goals for graduate school, goals for making the transition to graduate school, goals for getting a degree. Goals are what I call statements of intent, and I want you to remember that I told you 2 or 3 things. A goal doesn't mean nothing unless it says what you intend to what? Do. A goal is a statement of intent that is a declaration of what is to be done. And so really, it's what I call an I will statement. I will do something. Not that I hope I will what? Do it, but I will what? Do it. Now listen to that. If you take nothing else out of here, that's real important. It's a declaration of intent. It's an I will statement. It's what I am going to what? Do. So from here on out, when you see me, don't ever approach me again and say, well, if all goes well, I hope I do. No. I want you to declare what you are going to what? Do. I'm not hearing some of you say it, so let's just try it one more time. Declare what I am going to what? Do. All right, that's it. That's real important. That's what a goal is. Now, we're going to talk about that. So, a degree program goal. To get my bachelor's what? Degree. To get my master's what? Degree. To get my PhD what? D. Whatever it is you're going to do, declare it. Don't say, I hope I'm going to do it. Growth and development goals. How are you going to develop yourself? I need to learn something about budgeting. I need to learn how to manage a lab. I need to learn how to do whatever it is you need to learn how to do. How am I going to develop myself? And I'll talk to people. People in the last conversation would say, well, I don't talk well. Well, you got to practice talking. I don't write well. You can't say that anymore. I must go learn how to what? Write better. So you have to go do that. Family goals. Do you want a family? Then how do I fit that in everything that I'm doing? How do I fit that in? Come January 30th this year, or in next year rather, next year, not this year. Next year, January the 30th in the year 13, I will have been married 48 years to the same lady. That's not easy to do. I had to have a I will statement. I will stay with my wife. I don't need another wife. I had one. So I'll keep the one I what? Got. That's simplistic. Now, once you say that, then you can get over little rough spots. If you never declare that, every time something goes wrong, you try to run. I don't want to lose my wife. I want a family. Okay. I met her in freshman chemistry lab. And she was smart. She could do chemistry, and I couldn't. You're going to marry somebody, might want to marry somebody who can do some chemistry. So you have an I will statement about that. I will date this lady because she can do what? Chemistry. Going to date somebody, right? And then after I found out that I liked her better than just because she could do chemistry, then I don't let her get away. I will marry this lady. So we finished undergraduate school together, and she was a year behind me. I took 5 years, so I was a freshman. I was actually in my sophomore year when she was a freshman, but I worked my way through, so I only took about 50. I never took any more than 15 hours a semester, simply because I had to work. I paid my whole time going to school, so I worked and went to school. And but I spoiled her. I enjoyed her, and so I had money, I had a job, and so rather than going spending money on the guys, I spent it on her. I take out to dinner and stuff, and I made it difficult for somebody else to come along because the other guys didn't have no money. I ain't got to worry about her. And I was president of the senior class, president of the biology club. Every time we got ready to go on a trip or something, I ordered the buses. Always had 2 seats. I could take her free. Hey, the world works. Okay? But I'm trying to keep my girlfriend, who I want to be my what? Wife. So you have to have plans on that. What's the goal here? What you see? I'm being real with you. And so we graduated. I'm just going to take you forward on that. We graduated, and when I graduated, I had 4 big goals of mine. Number 1, I wanted to go to grad school, and I had no money. So you don't have to have money. That's how I found out it was free. Because I want to go, but I don't have no what? Money. But I didn't say I'm not going because I don't have no money. I want to go without any what? Money is what you have to say. I wanted to do that. Number 2, I didn't want to pay rent. So I want to buy a house right away with no what? Money. 3, I want to marry this lady that I need to marry. Okay, I want to marry this lady, and I want to get my career started. We finished undergraduate school in May 1964. We got married in January 65. I started graduate school in September of 64 with no money. Didn't cost, found out you could go free. Didn't cost a dime. Had a job. Got my career started. Moved into our first house in April. In a year's time, we'd done all of that with no money. But we had what? Goals. And they were not hope goals. They were goals of, I will do something. Personal goals. I have a personal goal. I never want to put my pants on without any what? Money. I never want to put my pants on when I don't have no money. I am a miserable soul if I'm broke. I made myself a promise early in my life. I am never going to be what? I am never, I'm serious, fellas. I told myself that. I am never going to put my pants on when I don't have no what? That was a goal. I am never going to work all year without taking a vacation. Goal. I haven't missed a vacation since I finished high school. I've gone on vacation every single year. And now I can go anytime I want to. So we go 2 or 3 times a year. Professional goal. I want to be known in the profession. You can't talk about what I do without my name coming up. If you talk about graduate education in this country, my name will come up. If you talk about mentoring, my name will come up. You got me? Finances. I wanted to retire early. I wanted to own my own home, all of those kind of things. So you put that in your plans. Spiritual. What does that mean to you? And we worry about what it means to somebody else. So let me clean that up for you in this room. You can have a spiritual what? Goal that is a personal what? Doesn't have nothing to do with nobody. And you don't have nothing to do with mine. Let me get that straight too. You can't tell me what I need to believe. I can believe what I want to what? You worry about your own soul since that's what you seem to be worried about. But don't worry about mine. Let me worry about my own. Now you can share your stuff with me, and I don't mind doing that. But when I get finished, you need to be able to go on and live your what? Life the way you want to live it. And that's a sad state that we're in. We have a country that says we're free. You can do what you want to do. That's why I enjoy being here. Why would I want somebody to tell me what to do? So I want you to think about that. So look up there and see if you see yourself up there. What are your degree program goals? What are your growth goals and your growth needs? What do you need to work on? What about a family? Do you want a family? Do you want kids? How many? How many can I afford? Not just how many I want. How many can I afford? How many can I pay for? How many can I have and still have a career if that's what I want to do? How can I do that? Professional goals, personal goals, spiritual goals, financial goals. What are they? I won't try to name them for you, but you ought to have them. Communicating with the faculty, communicating with anybody. And I talk about this a lot in my counseling sessions. First of all, avoid having a hidden agenda. Be upfront with people when you talk to them. Okay? Eliminate ill-considered actions. Eliminate ill-considered actions. Remember you and I were talking? You remember the question that you asked me? That's why I was looking directly at you. And I was just reinforcing that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So as we deal with somebody, and I'll share what we were just talking about, how do I deal with people that don't like me? And I was simply saying that you have to say to yourself, that's not my problem. I don't dislike you. You don't like what? Me. I can get along with you. I don't have no hidden agenda. I'm not going to do anything against you. I'm not going to mistreat you. If I don't like you, I'll mistreat you. That's what people do. They do that. That's why I don't like the politics today. If I don't like you, I'll just mistreat you. I'll get you. I'll go out to get you. I mean, for us to be able to allow a person to come on television and say, because I don't like you, I'm going to make sure that you fail. And we had politicians say that. and they can get reelected, which is, I can't understand that. I don't want somebody representing me who thinks that way. Because if he wants me to fail, he wants the country to what? Fail. That is beyond anything I can believe. So I want you to I'm not talking about politics, I'm trying to get you to understand how you ought to think. You're different from that. Demonstrate responsibility, worthiness. Why should I take you on my team? Why should I write you a good recommendation? Why? Are you worthy of my best written letters? Are you worthy? I got this daughter that I laugh about, that I'm so proud of, that we've talked about this so much, about, getting along with people, getting good folk on your team. Doesn't make no difference who it is. Can you move past race and gender? Can you move past ethnicity? Can you move past all of those things? Manage your attitude and manage your emotions. And you can't be successful in graduate school if you can't do those things. Now, this is turning it around the other way. How do you build the kind of trust that you need with the faculty, with your advisor, with other student peers? First of all, reasonable expectations. We expect people to do things that we wouldn't do for nobody else almost. So do you have reasonable expectations from somebody? From your advisor, from the faculty? Do you give me a paper late and get mad that I don't grade it Sunday night for you? People used to do that when I taught. I told them to turn the thing in on Wednesday, and they came to me on Friday and expected me to put it in, had the grades in, and I was supposed to turn the grades in Monday. Sometimes I wouldn't do it just for the hell of it. I'd give you an eye. You should have turned it in on what? On time, because you didn't respect me. You didn't respect my time. Now, if you came and talked to me about it, but don't just sneak it under the door at night. No. So, have reasonable expectations of me too. I got a family. I want to go home. I want to watch the football game. All right? Keep a confidence. Can I trust you? Can I give you good advice and you don't go tell everybody about it? Are you dependable? Are you reliable? Can I trust you with my keys? Are you going to have a party on weekend in the lab if I let you stay in there by yourself? Can I trust you? You all have a party in a minute in the lab. And be done brewed up something and made something in the lab while I'm gone. I'm talking to you, but I want you to hear that. If you read the paper today, that young man Mathis at LSU, have you read the paper today? They gave him a break. They didn't kick him out of school. They wouldn't let him play football this year. He's a football player, but he's good. He's good. Yesterday, he got picked up in a marijuana house where they were cutting marijuana. And they probably would have put him back on the team this year after Christmas. I can't believe he did it. We can't trust you. You're not dependable. We gave you a break, and you went and blew it. I gave you keys, and you abused the privilege. I'm just looking at you hard. Do you hear me when I say that? Back row, I can't see you, but nod. So I know you heard me. Do you hear me? All right. Decisive in your actions. Practice openness. Do things right the first time. I had a saying when I taught. Do it right the first time and then you don't have to apologize. You know how you don't do it right and you come back and try to apologize? I didn't mean it that way. I don't like excuses. So do it right the first time and you don't have to what? Apologize. I started off teaching junior high school and then I taught high school and then finally college after I got my PhD. But anyway, I was teaching high school and I was the first, and I was in the South. So I was the first black science teacher in the white high school. I was the only one, not the first one. When they moved us around, they put one black teacher in English, one black teacher in science, one black teacher in social studies, one black coach, and one black math. There were 6 of us. And all of us were on a different floor, so we couldn't even talk to each other. But anyway, the kids would come in my class, and so they didn't know whether we were going to get along or not. So I had to be different with them. And I'm just like I am now, you know, even though they were in the sophomores. And so I had put up on my wall, in this room we treat you right the first time, and then we don't have to what? Apologize. And it was on the wall, and I made everybody read it over and over again. In this room we treat you right the what? First time. Well, there was a young lady in my class, a white female, 10th grader, long stringy hair. And she used to put it behind her ears, like you're doing. And she had never had a black teacher before, so they tested me out. And they finally found out he's all right. He's going to be all right. And I stayed in touch with him. So she went on, finished high school, finished college, and got a master's, taught, and became a principal. And she invited me to come talk to her faculty. And I walk in the building, and guess what was up on the wall? In this school, we treat you right what? The first time. And we don't have to what? Apologize. And so I told her, I said, I know you put that up because you knew I was coming. She said, you can ask anybody. As soon as I got this building, the first thing I put up was that sign. And all the kids said over and over again, in this building, we treat you right what? The first time. So I want you to remember that. I'm going to treat you right the what? First time. And we don't have to apologize. And so you do that with the faculty. You expect that from them. You do that with your colleagues. You do that with everybody. All right? Do it right the first time. How are we doing? Are we in good shape? Even though I've been talking too much. Okay, adapt to the pace. The pace of graduate work is so much faster. It's fast. For the first time, we assume it's assumed that you're going to read the textbook, even if you don't buy it. We assume you're going to read it. So we don't make a whole lot of assignments and things. We assume that if you got a hole that you're going to fill it up, that you're going to go get 5 other books and read and fill the hole up. We just assume that. So we go fast. We give exams at the graduate level where you might have to write a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-page response to it. Think nothing about it. On qualifying exams, depending on who's giving the exam, we might ask a question that it took 5 chapters to answer. So the pace and the rigor and everything about it is there. The camaraderie between the people, the camaraderie with folk, who you're going to meet and where they're going to end up. I had no idea that one of my colleagues was going to end up being the president of the University of North Carolina university system. She's retired now from there. She ended up being the president of the 16 campuses. We were in school together. We were colleagues. So you never know. Balance, adjusting to be an independent thinker, practice management skills. And then again, I keep coming back to that worthiness. We're going to have to vote on you. We're going to have to validate your stuff. We're going to have to let you get out of here. There are cases where somebody just messed it up so bad that the faculty are never going to let them graduate. I had a colleague with me at Syracuse that he's never going to graduate. He'll never get a PhD from there. And everybody knew it before he did. He was the last one to figure it out. So worthiness is real important when you go to grad school. I think I have 2 more slides or 3 more, and that's going to be it. I don't know how I'm doing. Oh, this is why people don't finish. This is what causes people to not finish. And now I'm primarily talking about PhD students. First of all, just ability to adapt to the environment. They just can't do it. They don't see themselves doing it. It's over their head. This being in the lab all day, this having to write up all this stuff, they just can't do it. So people don't finish. Protocol, you mess it up some kind of way. You mess up the politics, and you won't get out. You got some skill deficiencies that you can't fill up. In my area, one of the killers in the School of Education is people who can't do math. And statistics and that kind of stuff, you just have to be able to do, and they can't do it. And so a lot of times they get hung on that. Now, you don't have to be a genius in it, but you have to master it. Being able to write a dissertation. I mean, most people have not thought about writing a book that's going to be 300 pages long, 150 pages long. So being able to write a book. Betrayal of trust, just some political misstep. Just did something that you weren't supposed to do. This is true in the workplace too. These same things can be translated to the workplace. Not able to adapt to your unit, to the environment of your work group. Same thing. Same thing. Okay? Anybody need more time on that? Okay. That one, we already talked about that. Your role in your own success. From starting today, decide what success is going to mean for you based on those goals I put up there. And then, you know what I mean? When I say those goals, they don't have to be everything, but I mean something like that. What does it mean for you? And then how do I fit myself into that? Are you following me? So you control that. Where do I want to be in 20 years? Do I really want to climb? Do I want to teach and then become a full professor? Do I want to do that? What would it feel like if I was an endowed professor? Endowed, blah, 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 blah. Like the lady who was up on the stage today. She's an endowed professor. She makes more than ordinary professors make. By a lot. That's what I mean by that 10% on the top. Yeah. Expect success. I have a hard time making you don't see yourself. Can you just picture what it would be like if you had a PhD? Do you know what it's like to get a PhD and graduate on graduation day? Let me tell you what it's like. When you get a PhD, if you come to graduation, when you get a bachelor's, you just get in a long line, and they just call one name right after the other. In fact, you don't even get a chance to slow down. If you do, somebody will run over top of you because they just keep calling names. But when you get a PhD, you're sitting over there, standing up, and they say, Howard Adams. And you get up and walk up on the stage and walk in the middle and stop. And they don't call another name until they get finished with you. Your professor comes up with your hood, put your hood on, get your colors straightened up straight. You can get your picture taken. You can wave at your mother, everything. They don't call another name until they get finished with you. It's awesome to be standing up there like you got bars on your sleeve. It's just awesome. Howard, Glenn, Adams, P.H. what? D. And then I waved at my mother. I didn't, no hurry, because this is my time. I ain't got to rush it off. And finally, you walk off. And they call another name. So, can you see yourself doing that? Do you see yourself with your name on your books? Do you see yourself in a publication, your manuscripts, getting a $1 million grant? $2 million grant. Building your own lab. Having your own building. My phone keeps acting like it's coming on right now. And I would cue you if yours came on, so I know mine ain't got no business coming on. That wasn't my phone. What was it? I thought it was my phone. Stop procrastinating. Stop putting things off. From here on out, just go do it. All right? And that's it right there. There you go. Let me go back there. That's the last one. These are key 5 things there. Manage, think, read, work, write. Manage relationships, yourself, your time, your progress, your energy, everything. Number 2, think. Be clear, be concise, be organized, be professional. Read. We don't read enough. Read a lot. Work. Don't avoid it. Give it your very what? Best all of the time. You don't want nobody to ever question that. Write. Practice writing. practice writing. And it's much easier than you all ever thought it was. Miss Regina, hold my two little books up back there, the two little ones. Yes, right there on the table. My books. No, the little book, yeah, the little novel types. Yeah, those. One of them is called Career Management 101, and the other one is called Get Up with Something on Your Mind. And I've got other publications. The reason I asked her to hold those up, what I was going to simply tell you is, guess what people say to me? I don't like to write. I didn't either until I knew I could put my name on there and it says what? Howard Glenn Adams what? PhD. I love that. Now, that's fine. You won't believe that. You won't believe that, but one of the organizations that I work for buy those, 500 at the time, and allow me to give them away. NIH buys them and let me give them away. The Sloan Foundation has bought them and let me give them away. Can you imagine a check comes in the mail to pay for your books that you can then just go give them to somebody? Why wouldn't you love that? So you can't let your mouth say that you don't like to write. That's what I guess I'm trying to say to you. So don't let your mouth say things like that. That's awesome. That is just flat out awesome. The last one back there, now hold the big one up. That one is my family history. There were things about my family that had not been told. We were born slaves. My great-grandfather was born on a plantation where there was 2,000 slaves. And then his son was born on the same plantation. And his son was born on the same plantation. And my father was not. And I was born on Adam's land, my grandfather's land. And I have a what? PhD. So from slavery to Howard Adams to my daughter, who's got one too. We ought to know that, and there's nothing embarrassing about it. It's just the way it was. It's just the way it was. It was. But never again. Never again. Because I'm now what? Howard G. Adams what? PhD. And you make no mistake of what? About it. You got me? So you have, each one of you, somewhere in you, is a story to be told. Either about your grandfather or your grandmother or somebody. And it hasn't been told yet. It's been told negative all the time. They always talked about the fact we didn't have no shoes. That has not been my experience. There was always a car and a truck sitting in the yard, although I couldn't drive it because my daddy wouldn't let me. But it was in the yard. I always had good clothes, good food, good everything. That should be told. That was not my experience. I ain't had no bad life. The system treated me poorly, and I should have told that too. It's been told a different kind of way. It was like it was my fault. It wasn't my what? It was the system's what? Fault. I'm just ending with that so because you all the best I got. If you don't do something about it, if you keep living in this world and you all don't speak up, it won't get no better. So I got to believe that you're going to do better than that. And so what I mean by that, the system did it. I went to a school that didn't have no books. Had I been able to go to the better school that was white, I would have had books. Was that my fault? No. We paid taxes too, but they just didn't give us no money. I walked to school until I was in the 4th grade because there were no buses for us to ride on. I had to walk 3 miles, and that's no lie. And there were kids who had already walked further than that, and we paid taxes too. I was disadvantaged, but the system did that. It had nothing to do with me. And so if I don't tell my own story, the story doesn't get what? Told, because we keep telling it as a lie. It's not. That's just the way it was, and somebody else did it. And so you all are going to be in a position where you're going to be responsible for the budgets, and you have to do it right. You got me? Somebody got to straighten this up. We can't keep doing it wrong all of the time. Somebody ought to get in charge and say, because I'm in charge, we're going to do it what? We're going to do it right. And so I want to end on that. So I want to encourage you all to go to graduate school. when you have a PhD, you can be a little bit nastier than you could be with a bachelor's. All right? I don't mean you have to be evil, but you have to, sometimes you have to be a little what? Nasty, but you have to be correct with it. Not evil. There's a difference between that. You can be that if you got a PhD, because you don't have to be beholden. I can get another job. You know, like I'm sitting around hoping I can get a job. I can get another job. I can do math, so I can get a job. All right? Well, here's how to find me. If you didn't get one of the little handouts with my biog on it, they were on the back table, and if you didn't get one of those, I still have some of those left. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. We've got 10 minutes, and so if you've got a question you want to ask or comment, if you need to leave, do that too. We've passed out evaluations.
We don't have anything else in this room right now.
Okay, so we can stay. Did they get evaluations when they came?
Excuse me?
The form, the evaluation form.
Oh, it's gone.
They got them?
Yeah.
Okay, so fill those out if you had evaluation forms. And if you have a question, go to the mic. I would be more than happy to have comments, questions, or whatever you want to say. If you want to talk to me one-on-one with everybody, when it's totally over, then you can come up and talk to me. Any questions? Any comments? Questions? Go to the mic. And there's a mic over here too.
Hi. So right now I'm a junior undergraduate.
Okay.
And I'm trying to decide whether or what I want to do in the next step of my life, whether what degree to get, what program to go to.
Okay.
So do you have any tips on choosing master's versus PhD, or even like other degrees such as JD, MBA after a biomedical engineering?
All right, I do have some comments on that. One, go get the master's anyway. Go get a master's. In the sciences, in engineering, go get your master's. It'll serve you very well, and it's a jump-off point that you can do any of those other things. Even if you decide to go to law school, you'd be a bigger dog with a master's than you would be if you didn't have it. So go get the master's and get it out of the way. Okay? If after you start the master's program and you're doing well and you like it, go get a PhD. Stay on and get it. So just get it anyway. The reason I don't encourage the MBA, you can get that the rest of your life. It's the one degree you can get part-time. You can do it anytime. Your company will send you back to get it and pay your salary while you're gone, if you're a big enough dog. So that's one you don't have to worry about right now. You can always get that one. Okay? So I would say go get the master's and get it out of the way. I'm saying that to everybody. And then if it works out, stay on and get a PhD. Yes?
I got two questions.
Okay.
The first one's about writing.
Okay.
I'm one of those people who's always said I didn't like it, and now I'm going to stop doing that. But what do I do to get good at it now?
Right. Just right. Now, when I say just right, I'm not good at it either, but I write. So the way I write is I keep a journal, and I write in my journal, and then after a while I've got something worthy of writing up, and I write it up, and I write it over and over again. And I know you're sitting there thinking, well, what does that mean? I'm glad you asked the question, because I'm working on my next book, and I brought it with me. And you're going to have to buy it, because I don't give it away unless somebody else. So you're going to have to buy my book. So here's my next book. And I've been working on it ever since I got here. When there was not somebody at my table, I'll read it on the way back, and eventually a book will come out of this. So you just write. Can you write from start to finish? The answer is no. Most of us can't. Those of us who don't write. But even people who write don't write from start to finish. They just write. So you write what's in your head. You might be writing the ending before you can write the beginning. You just write. And don't worry about how it's going to come out. Just write. And then go back and clean it up later on. So write. That's a good question. I'm going to let him ask his next question while he's standing there and then do that. So write.
Yeah. The other question is, have you ever had to change a goal? Did you ever make a goal and need to change it?
Oh, yes. You're going to have to change some. If you're asking it a different kind of way, I mean, in other words, do you make mistakes sometime with your goals? The answer is yes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to change your mind. Sometimes, I haven't done a lot of that, though, because I've thought about it relatively well. We haven't made many mistakes going along the way, okay? But don't be afraid to back off of something if it didn't come out right. Then let me tell you what I did do. The biggest mess up I had in my whole life was I wrote my dissertation proposal, and it wasn't as good as I thought it was. I thought it was good. I went in for my defense, and I got chewed up. by one professor. He ate me to a shred. I had to go back and redo it. But I had to admit it wasn't good. Most everybody got mad with him and said he was nasty. He might have been, but he had a PhD. He could afford to be what? Nasty. So I just took it like that. He might have been nasty, but he's a full professor. He got a PhD. He can afford to be what? Nasty. I need to go back and make this man happy. So I went back and did it over again. I never saw him again. After that, when I corrected what he wanted, he never came back to nothing I did. So sometimes you have to change direction.
Do you evaluate your goals on a regular basis?
Oh, yes. How am I doing? How am I doing? You can do that as often as is necessary based on, sometimes it's once a year, sometimes you might need to make it shorter than that. I travel all the time, trying to keep my wife. See? So I got to ask, how am I doing? What? How am I doing? I have to ask that often. How am I what? Doing. Oh, yes. And the goal is to keep my wife. Can I be any clearer than that? So, yes, you have to check up on yourself often based on how important it is and what is at stake with it. But that's a good one to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you. First off, I want to say thanks for giving the talk. I'm in the fourth year of my PhD.
Okay.
And the question I had is, I'm finding a balance between some of my thesis research, and then I also have other stuff that actually is turning into a startup.
Okay.
So how do I balance those two forces of one, you've kind of have to be the champion of a company you're working on,
okay,
but at the same time trying to achieve your thesis goals?
Okay.
Because I'm looking at maybe 5.5, 6 now.
Okay. It doesn't hurt you to take a little bit more time,
Okay.
but you don't want to take no more time that's necessary. I wouldn't want this idea to get away and wake up and somebody else stole it and beat me to it, so I wouldn't want to do that too if I got a good idea. What I would say to you, though, is, and let's don't take just his idea. All of us got some multiple things going on in our lives, so we have to clean up what is it that I don't have to do. So sit down and get rid of that. I can't do everything. So what is it I don't have to do? So let me get rid of that. All right? I was married when I went to grad school, and I had a third grader. And third graders don't care whether you get a PhD or not. They don't care.
Yeah, I've got a
They
2-year-old.
they want to come home and show you their drawings and all this kind of stuff and what they did, something. Okay, so you got to have time for that. So I got to readjust myself. So what I did was, now, and the wife is working paying the bills. I mean, I'm getting my stipend, but it wouldn't have supported us. So she's working full time. And I need to pick up part of her slack. I need to be more responsible for my daughter. You got what I'm trying to say? So I had to cut out everything else. I can't do nothing else that doesn't hit right on schoolwork and family. I ain't have nothing else. I don't belong to nothing. I don't volunteer for nothing. I don't do nothing. All right? So that's where you are. I can't do nothing else other than, those mandatory things that I must get done. And I would say that to all of you. Where you all get in trouble, you try to do too many things. And some of it you can put off till a later time. Like, I like to fish. I had fished my whole life growing up as a kid. And I hunt. And I had hunted my whole life. Graduate students don't have time to do that. So when my wife laughed because she didn't even know I did all that stuff. I didn't do it. And so when I finally got where I could do it, now I can do it. And she said, what is this about all this fishing and stuff? I didn't know you did. I said, I couldn't afford to do it before. That's why you didn't know I did it. You know what I'm trying to say? So no, you just put that on hold. Put it on hold until you come back, pick it up later. Now I can fish anywhere I want to. Got a PhD. Hey. And you're laughing about that. I'm going to get to your question. But let me tell you about that. I was working and I wanted to take a sabbatical. And I wanted to go work for a company for the summer. And so I just put it out. I'm looking for a sabbatical. I'm available to a company. This is what I can do for you while I'm there. I'm not going to come unless you pay for an apartment. I got to get my salary while I'm gone. And I'm not going to come any place I can't fish. Fishing will be a requirement to come. Do you know people bidded on me? Dow Chemical in Midland, Michigan sent me a picture of the boat. Here's the boat, and here's the driver. He will take you anytime you want to go. Here's the apartment that's sitting a block across from headquarters that you can have an apartment in. What else do you need? I got it. So what I'm just trying to tell you is it's really looking at your life. This is fun. So you can put some things on hold. I guess that's what I want you to leave with. You don't have to do it all today. But you want to wake up one day and be where you want to be in a long time. I mean, I've been doing this. I was a vice president when I was 33. I'm 72. So I've been doing this a long what? Time. This is fun. This is real what? Fun. Yes, sir. We're going to take 2 more questions. Go.
This is, I don't know what kind of question this is, but basically sometimes I feel like I'm trying to get a bunch of stuff done, and
Okay.
I just feel like I'm getting nothing done,
Okay.
and I just kind of wanted some
Okay,
advice.
you haven't made a list of what you have to do. And I know you all sitting there listening to me and you think he can't be doing it. Wait a minute, I can't find mine. Let me show you. And I'm not as organized as you all, that's why I'm rambling around here. But let me show you that I'm not lying to you. If I can find out where I put it. What in the world did I do with my badge? It's in my badge, wherever it is. Here you go. But while I'm sitting here, so that I can, because I have to get work done. I couldn't be on the road if I didn't. So here's my to-do list. And it's done by number 1. The number 1 thing I have to do. The number 1 thing I have to do, Miss Regina, is invoice Miss Regina, because I need to get paid. Number 2, I need to invoice Virginia Tech, where I'm okay. I need to invoice South Florida. All of these things will have been done on this trip. When I get back, I have to invoice all those people so I can get paid. Okay? I need to call Diane Reeder, my editor, so I get my book out. I'm trying to get it paid for. I'm trying to get a publication grant, so I don't have to pay for it. I won't call the name because you all will steal my idea. But I got that name here on my list. I got Unilever, a company that wants me to do some work for them in February, and I need to follow that up, and so I got it on my list. And I need to get ready for my conference next week. And these are the things that are on my list, so when I get back home, I don't have to be wondering what I need to do. I can get right on top of it. So you're not organized. You're a fine fellow, and we like you a lot, but you're not organized.
Well, I actually keep to-do lists, so...
But you don't scratch it off so you don't get nothing done.
Well...
You just got a list. You have to do, no. You're making excuses. You're trying to excuse yourself. You told us that he didn't get nothing what? Done. Just go ahead and tell him he's a fine fellow. You're a fine what? Fella, but you don't get nothing what? Done. We like you, right? So what we're going to tell you is we're going to tell you to go back and put the number 1 thing down that needs to get done and say when you're going to get it done. I'm going to have it done by Friday, or otherwise I can't go to the football game. I can't go on a date Friday night if I don't get it done. That's how you do it. Now I'm telling you, don't look at, I'm serious. If I don't have, I have already bought my ticket off. We have 4 tickets to go on a cruise for Christmas. If this book is not at the printer by then, I can't go. And I've already bought the tickets. And the family plans to what? Go. I got to have this done. You got me?
I got you.
All right. We love you, though. You're a fine fellow. But he doesn't do what? He doesn't get things done. We love you. Did that help you? Well, see, now you got to say we helped you. Because if you don't, you're going to go back and fall in the same hole.
Well, but can I get more specific? And
I
see-
can't be. I don't know what you need to do. I'm telling you, sit down and decide, what do I need to do to get wherever it is I'm trying to get to? I'm doing this for some reason. I'm going to take my president right here. He said he wanted to be president of the club. And he also wants to be a student. And he also has a job. And he got some other kind of thing. I just happen to meet him, so I know a little bit about it. He has to put down which one of these things is the most important. Now, I would love to be a good president, but I want to get my bachelor's degree. Because I don't want to wake up one day and be a good president and not have this degree. So you might have to say that my number 1 priority is get this degree. So if I had to step down for something, I'd have to quit being president. That's what I mean by that. got me?
Got you.
Okay? If he had to work to go to school, in my case, I'm telling you, when I was working on a bachelor's degree, I couldn't go to school if I didn't work, not the other way around. Huh? Okay. So my number one thing was my job, because if I don't have this job, I can't go to school. The rest of it, I wouldn't be president no way. You got what I'm trying to say? So you got to, that's what you got. That's what I mean by that. You have to put down what you have to do. All right? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my question is, it's kind of like a two-part question. How do people treat you when you introduce yourself and you say, I'm a PhD? Like, do people like look at you differently if you're just like, hi, I'm so-and-so, or you're like, hi, you know, I have that PhD.
Yes, ma'am, we love you.
You know?
We love you.
And then,
I don't just walk up to everybody and say, hi, I'm a PhD. No.
No, I mean, like, do people give you a different level of...
No. But I would walk up to somebody if I was, stand up. My friend right here, stand up. If I had never seen him before, I'd walk up and say, hello, my name is Howard Adams. I wouldn't even say I'm Dr. Adams. I'd just simply say my name is what? Howard Adams. I'm retired from the University of Notre Dame, and I live in Virginia. That would be all I would say to somebody to start off with. I would expect him to tell me his name and where he's from. I gave him enough information to cause him to have to talk to me. What he would tell me, he'd tell me his name. He's a student at Wichita State, and he's a junior. All right? If I wanted to talk to him some more, then I would, and I did want to talk to him. So what did I do with you? I told you I'd been to Wichita. I told him, I made him tell me some companies that were there, so he would know that I'd been there. We finally discovered that I had visited Boeing that's there. Didn't we do that? I had never seen him before. You got me?
Yeah.
So you don't have to wake up and say, hey. Now, as we get to talk, I might simply later on tell him that I have a PhD and I went to Syracuse. Or he might ask me that. Let me just give you some idea. Hold it, because that's a good question. I'm sitting, and it's in my bag because I just had to unload all the junk I had in my pocket. But on my way here, I get on a plane, and a guy gets on with his little Kindle. He's gonna read something. And I got to laugh to him. You're not going to read. We're going to talk to each other. He doesn't know that, though. We're going to talk. Because I got a PhD. I got a PhD in what? Talking. So we're going to talk. So he sits down. And so as soon as we get sort of comfortable, I say, are you on your way home? Are you just starting out? He said, oh, no. He said, I'm not on my way home. He said, I'm on my second stop. I said, okay, good. I said, well, this is where I'm going. And I said, well, who are you with? He told me. And as soon as he said that, I said, oh, I might get some consulting from him. But I don't jump on him. Don't jump on him. We just talk a little bit. So I said, well, let me tell you a little bit about it. I said, it's interesting that you tell me that you're in technology, because I'm going to a technical what? Conference. Now he's interested in what kind? Thought you'd never ask. So I told him what I was going to. What you going to do there?
That happened to me on the plane also.
They're all right. There you go.
Yesterday.
And so you sneak this in. So now I can tell him what I'm going to do here. But that's not what I really want him to know. Because what I'm going to do here, he doesn't need. So quietly I start telling him, now that's what I'm going to do there, but I do some other kind of things too. And this is what I do. When I hit mentoring, his eyes lit up. He said, God, we need a mentoring program. That's what I do. Thought you'd never ask. Hold the notebook up. And I have it with me. It's got all kind of mentoring stuff in it that I have written. Mentoring publications. I'm the guru in what? Mentoring. That's what I do. Do you know he walked me to my plane when we got where we were going? We changed planes. He walked me. So I'm just trying to tell you, yes, that's how you do that. So you at a conference and you meet somebody, you have to carry the conversation. I didn't know I wanted to talk to you. He didn't know he wanted to talk to me. He thought he was going to read his Kindle. But he wants to talk to me, but he doesn't know that. And I've got to make him understand, we're not reading no Kindle today. We're going to what? We're going to talk. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and then my second, it's sort of like a follow-up question. One thing that happens to me often is like, people are like, oh, what are you studying? And I'm like, I'm studying biomedical engineering. And they just look at me funny, like,
Yes.
like, whoa, you're really smart. Or,
Exactly.
well, I always get that reaction, and it bugs me. How do I?
Why would it bug you? You are smart.
But like, what do you? And then
Wait,
they're like,
hold,
I never
no,
even
no,
heard of that.
Before you finish that, the fact that you can do science and math means people think you're smart. That's an advantage for people to think that you're what? So don't act like you're not. Go ahead and act like you are what?
Smart.
Smart. Now, you don't have to rub it in, but yes. So they get excited. We were talking, what's your name? See, I was hoping she was going to say it like that. See, she said it too fast. It's a good name, but she said it too what? Fast. And we didn't catch it because, in my case, I'm accustomed to people being named John Smith. So I'm going to ask you again, what's your name? There you, it was much slower, okay? Now, if I look like I didn't catch it, spell it for me. So let's try it one more time. Give me your name, okay? And what you do is just sort of quietly take a breath and say, and it's spelled phonetically or whatever you want to say like this. You got me? Now, that's your first name? What's your last name? Why you didn't say the whole thing? You should have given me a whole name. We're just learning how to do things. So from here on out, when you introduce yourself, you notice to me, I said to him, my name is Howard Adams. Whole name. Okay? And I gave him just enough to keep him what? Talking. And when I said keep him talking, he had to tell me something about him because I told him enough about me that he had to tell me something. All right? What else? You had one more question.
Oh, yeah, that was it. How do you react to people who?
Oh, how do you react to people
who just look at you like?
Don't react. You would expect them to expect that because you can do what? Science and what? Math. And most people can't do it. So don't be shocked that they look at you like, wow. Yes. Wow, I expected you to wow. I didn't tell them the joke about my daughter singing, did I? I didn't tell you about my daughter singing, did I? No,
yeah,
okay.
you did.
I told you, but y'all didn't tell. They weren't here. My daughter came home in 8th grade and wanted to join the choir. We don't sing. So I told her, we don't sing. We ain't got no singers in the family. I said, no. You can't join the choir. You got to take math. So she laughed and looked at me like, I knew you were going to say that. So I said, no, we do math. We do math. In this house, we do math. Your mother did math. I did math. You got to do what? Math. Well, she got mad. But anyway, today she has a PhD in engineering. I expected people to expect me to be smart. The fact that I could do what? Math and science. Okay? All right, listen. Fantastic. Go have a good day. Go back home different. Go back home different. Where's my friend? Where's my friend? Did he leave already? No, right there. Go back home and write down what number 1 is, number 2, number 3, and when am I going to get it what? Done. And say to yourself, I'm never going to say that again. I'm never going to say that I can't get it what? You're going to go home and say, never again am I going to say I can't what? Write. He's never going to say that again. Never. Because I'm going to start writing. Because what I want to do, I'm going to need to be able to what? Write. You got me? So I want you to go home and be different. Thank you all so very much. I have enjoyed it.